Okay, Paul, here's your video. We've got Donington Point up ahead, Boston Island, Port Lincoln down in the distance behind me. I've just left about an hour ago. And over there, Monument Hill. Still haven't decided where I'm going to go to. So many options to choose from. But sail along quite nicely, anything from 3.8 to 4.8 knots. Without trying too hard. I've got one reef in the sail. Just gone past Bickers Islands. There's two little islands there. There's quite a lot of fish farms around here. I think these ones are probably kingfish. There's a bit closer look at the fish farms, whatever it is. Boats are coming out here every day. Feed the fish, in the nets, check everything's good. Sitting out to Donington Point. This is Donington Point. It's the tip of the Lincoln National Park and the eastern edge of Boston Bay. Over there we've got Donington Rock. I'm not going to go too close, there's a seal colony there, and my daughter works on boats that takes people out to see great white sharks. They go down to Neptune Island, which is about 4 hours south of here. But they said that they've been seeing more sharks around Donington than they had down at Neptune. So great white sharks are too big for me to play with in my little dinghy. Did see a little shark just half an hour ago, about 3 or 4 foot. Probably a bronze whaler, just a small one. Nice little beach in here. Last year Jim and Paul and I camped in there one night. I'm going to turn around though and head back down through Sporting Cove, past Monument Hill, down to Port Lincoln proper, and find a place to camp for tonight. This is Engine Point, part of the Donington Peninsula, Lincoln National Park. And up ahead of us is Fisherman's Point. A few campgrounds dotted around the park. That's a very good one up ahead, and a very nice beach too. Camped there many times. Here we are at the head of Sporting Cove. Can't get over how white the sand is. To the top of Monument Hill over there. We'll go past Monument Hill beach shortly and find a park on the other side. Okay, this will do for the night. We're at the base of Stamford Hill, or Monument Hill as I've been calling it. A big stink boat down there, I don't want to go down there, so just pop in here. This is where I'll camp for the night, just off of Surfleet Point. You can see just behind my boat is the entrance to the harbour. We're at the Boston Island, you can see a couple of fishing boats there. Port Lincoln's over that way to the west. I'll get a good view of the sunset tonight. And that's Stamford Hill, Monument Hill. So it'll be nice and protected from the southeasterly winds overnight. And tomorrow I'll head north, go up to Boston Island. Not a bad spot for dinner. We get these things from Woolies. They're pretty good. Don't need to go in the fridge either. Here we are, day 2. Just left the beach over there at Surfleet Point. Heading past Stamford Hill, the monument on top, Flinders Monument. I'm going to head southwest into Proper Bay and then hug the coast around Port Lincoln. Go past the yacht club where I used to sail and then end up, hopefully, the north end of Boston Island will be Squeaky Beach. A lot of people ask me about my boat. What is it? What design is it? What's it made from? Everything. Well, it's a one-off design. It was designed and built by an amateur guy in New South Wales somewhere. I don't know his name. I just know his initials. It's carved into the hull. It was launched in 1999. He's used off-the-beach rigs. So I've got a mast and a mainsail from an Australian Sharpie and a jib from an old 14-foot skiff jib, which is still in great nick. It's got a swing centerboard. It's got a fair bit of lead in there. I've never taken it out to see how much lead. It's pretty heavy. A little cabin. I can sleep in it, but it means I have to move all my gear. Cabin's too big really, because the bigger the cabin, the more gear you want to throw in there. Got a couple of boards there which I put here in the cockpit for sleeping outside. Last night I just slept out in the open, but I do have a old beach umbrella. It's not an old one, but it's a large beach umbrella which I hang from underneath the boom. It's got some poles which are spread out over here, so it covers the back end of the cabin and the cockpit. Got a little Yamaha 2 horsepower, just enough as long as it's not too windy. Fishing rods just for looks. Don't use that at all. Just on the off chance I got bored while I was on the trip. Yeah, 18 foot, very lightweight on the trailer. Moves along very nicely in a light wind like today. But in a heavy wind I have to reef down the mainsail fairly quickly. Usually under 10 knots I put the first reef in, unless I'm with someone else. But beautiful day out here today, very light winds. It'll pick up a little bit after lunch, but I'll be at my destination hopefully around 2 p.m. Just gone past Grantham Island and Murray's Point. There's a few mussel farms in here, so I've got to be a bit wary of them. See there's another one off to the distance there and dead ahead as well. So unfortunately the wind's moved more from the north now. I was hoping for a nice easy reach all the way to my destination, but at the moment I'm tacking. See if hopefully it will swing around to the east a bit more while I zigzag through these mussel farms. Just coming up to the old BHP sand mine and the boat yards around Billilards Point. And I see some birds flying around here, diving into the water. I dropped my lure in the water, controlling it for the last half an hour when the wind died down. So I'm going to wander over here, see what these birds are chasing, and see if I can pick something up on my lure for lunch or for dinner. This one used to be a little tourist operation where they had, it's called a tuna inside this net. And you could go and swim and snorkel with them and hand feed the tuna. And tell you what, when you're in an enclosure with 6 or 7 foot tuna that weigh a lot more than you do, and they're taking pilchards out of your hand. It's quite an experience. This is the old BHP sand wharf. Used to mine sand up the peninsula and train it down here. We've got the boatyards, which is now Lucan family boatyards. You see quite a lot of seagulls there. They'd be loading up pilchards to take out to the tuna farms. I'm actually back to where I started from yesterday. It's Billy Light's Point. They're building a desal plant there on the left. You can see the marina there dead ahead of me. And then to the old shipyard and the caravan park. I was going to sail in there because the winds messed me around a bit today. Decided instead of hugging the coast and going down to the yacht club, I'm going to go dead ahead and hug the west coast of Boston Island and still aim for Squeaky Beach up the north. Okay, this is where we're going to sleep tonight. Had to pass this reef here. There's a little bit of a reef off of here and had to split it in the middle. It's called Squeaky Beach. Beautiful. Well, here's the anchorage for tonight. This is Squeaky Beach. It's on the north end of Boston Island. I had to turn the camera off before. I was going through between that headland and the reef, which is about 150, 200 metres offshore. And I turned around and there was something on my fishing line. Anyway, the reason they call it Squeaky Beach, it squeaks. So it all happens at once. Trying to come in, navigate the reef, and I pull in some dinner tonight. So, there we go, she's a beauty. Obviously very hungry. So am I, that's my dinner. It's day 3, it's 20 past 8. Just leaving Squeaky Beach. Beautiful spot. The only problem here is that the wind blows from one direction and the waves come around the corner from the other direction. And there's a little bit of rocking and rolling. Slight inconvenience. The other problem was that it was very dewy last night. I was sleeping out on the deck and this wave got saturated. Just going to do a little jibe. Should have my hand on the steering wheel. Yeah, today just going to do a quick trip around the edge of the Boston Bay. I go up straight ahead to Point Boston, basically hug the coast all the way down south, and eventually get to the Blue Lights Point boat ramp. Another beautiful day. Should be anything from 5 to 10 knots, flat water. Just at the northern end of Boston Bay. I've been sailing about 45 minutes. And I wanted to check out these two beaches. I've never actually been here before, despite having lived in Port Lincoln. Beautiful little beaches. There's one here and another one just ahead of me. Beautiful shelter in anything from a northeasterly to a northwesterly. I think there's another one around the corner. Not quite sure I'm going to go around there. I could go a little bit further north, but the way the wind is a bit more southerly than what I hoped. And the further northwest I go, means I'm going to have a longer upwind stretch to get home. This is where we're going, back to Port Lincoln. There's Boston Island behind me. Just for info, Boston Island's privately owned by the Davis family. You're allowed to anchor there and go onto the beaches, but you're not allowed to go onto the island itself. But there's about 4 or 5 very nice little beaches you can anchor to. The one I was out, Squeaky Beach, and the one on the eastern side, I think it's called Picnic Beach, probably the pick of the two. We'll do a drive up here in a sec and check these beaches a bit more. Saturday morning. I'm guessing these guys are the cruising division of the local Port Lincoln Yacht Club for a Saturday morning race. There's about 5 or 6 boats here, and I suspect they're doing it around the island race, or maybe heading out to Reevesview Island or something. We've got Brennan's Jetty, Port Lincoln. Possum Bay's got one of the deepest ports in the world, so it can take some quite big ships. This one on the left is loading grain, or has loaded grain. One on the right is unloading something, and not quite sure what. It could be superphosphate or something. And the silos. I'm just going to head down a little bit to the right here, Port Lincoln Yacht Club. Just coming into the Port Lincoln Yacht Club. The Opti's out this morning, the juniors, and I can see a few boats on the lawn over there getting ready for this afternoon's race. Spent much time here as a young lad learning how to sail. Sailing around the Cairns, great spot to learn to sail. They just had their Sharpie national titles here. I've got the Sharpie mainsail here. Sharpies, they had about 80 boats in the national titles, which is fantastic to see. Off the beach, one design dinghy class being so successful. This is a Port Lincoln town jetty. Plenty of kids out today. There's a swimming enclosure there, keep people safe. Don't get bitten by anything. Although I noticed a couple of people snorkeling outside of their swimming enclosure. Just saw someone pull up a blue swimmer crab. Very popular spot to go swimming. There are 4 pubs here on the foreshore, Port Lincoln. This one's famous if you know Australian rock music. A band called Chisel wrote a not quite so famous song called Drinking in Port Lincoln. They penned it there at the Pier Hotel. Just coming out of Port Lincoln now, on the North Shore, and we're just passing the Axel Stenros Museum. This was a working boat yard until I was at school. Axel was an immigrant from Finland, lived here with his wife on on the site. They had a boat slip and built several boats there. Now it's a museum and very well run with volunteers. There's a lot of interesting boats, both inside and outside. Got Axel's old workshops, even the bedroom and kitchen where they used to live. Very well worth a trip. There's another story I heard when I was a kid at school here about Axel. When he was in Finland, his parents had a funeral business. And they used to do everything from make the coffins to run the ceremonies and the funerals and provide the supper or the wake afterwards. So the story was that Axel's mum used to make the sandwiches and the afternoon tea so that after they've buried someone, they'd invite them back to the funeral parlour and they'd have the wake there. But the story is that they used to put the afternoon tea in a coffin. There was no refrigeration, so they'd store it all in a coffin while they were out burying someone. One day they came back, they opened up the coffin to get the food ready, and they found this poor bloke's body there. They'd gone and buried the sandwiches. Never been able to find out if that's a true story or not, but yeah, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. There's another. It's the old wharf, the oil jetty. Speed limit 7 knots. I don't think I'll be breaking that one at the moment. Just got to get around the corner, head down towards the marina and the boat ramp. Well, we're nearly back at Billy Light's Point. Boat ramp's over there. Just going to call into the marina and see if my brother's home. We've just been past the shipyards. Got to watch where you sail here. There's 3 sunken boats in this area. That one's easy to see. Can't see the other one. There's one up ahead as well. Well, looks like Stephen's not home. Normally he's sitting out in the front of his yard. But quite sure I like the way this boat's been parked.